Well, I guess you can just,
Yeah, join in progress.
Join in progress.
Yeah, because we've got quorum. We've got more than quorum.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
yeah, we might as well bring this meeting to order. I'll call this meeting to order, please.
Scarborough,
Here.
Swinford,
Here.
Larson,
Here.
Ring,
Here,
Edwards,
Here.
Day.
Here. Okay, we'll open up this meeting with citizens' time. If there are any concerned citizens out there who would like to address ARB issues that they feel a need to speak. Anyone? Okay. So I guess we'll move to minute approval.
I'd like to make a comment on item E for Washington Street. There was actually a vote preceding what occurred here. What's here is accurate. Preceding this, however, I made a motion to approve. I don't know who seconded it. We could find that out from the tape. There was a voice vote. Pam was the only one that did not vote. That vote carried. Then Pam made the motion to amend it to include the windows. We then took a second vote, and that passed as documented here.
Okay. So to accurately address these transcripts, I'm assuming we're going to have to go back to the videotapes. You guys want to hold this off until next month then,
Defer
until
till
we
next
have a
month.
chance?
Was that the only thing you caught?
Yeah, yeah.
Do we need a motion to defer them?
Probably.
We would, or do we want to do it tonight, or just defer till next meeting?
There hasn't been a motion to approve these yet.
Right.
We've only been on for discussion, so I think we can just lay it down.
Okay.
And just consider it an agenda item for next month.
Okay.
Okay. Now we'll go to certificate of appropriateness. Guess
I make a motion to remove the motion, or to remove the application from the table and bring it up into consideration again.
okay, I got a motion to bring our tabled COA from last month back up to address.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. I guess to give a little details, with the applicant's approval, the Sheets group, we tabled their motion until they could address some of our concerns from last month. And they're bringing I guess another one, all the updates up. And we'll need to address those. So we'll go ahead and do that. Do we got to approve?
Yeah,
Call for a vote?
there's a motion on.
So I guess we'll call for a vote to move this off the table and address it
Um,
at this.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're going to move the motion to take it off the table, and then the applicant is here
And then
to...
address
And
the
and then we'll
COA.
address,
I will keep quiet now, thank you. I'm with the government, I'm here to help.
Okay, vote.
Voice from the sky. Okay, so I guess we'll take a vote then to move this off the table. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No nays? Okay. It's off the table, so we can address it now. You guys see what they've submitted for the updates. Do you guys have any discussions you want to bring before we move to,
I want to ask them if they have anything they want to share with us.
yeah, is there any concerns you guys have that you would like to share with us on
Any
anything that
updates?
you've submitted, your updates?
Yeah, it looks like it was everything we addressed.
Items there.
Good evening. A couple of changes we made, we discussed at the last meeting. One was the column for the sign. So we showed you that what the new columns look like for the fuel canopy. You asked to have us match the pylon sign, and that is shown. And the other, I say prominent change would be adding the cornice to the top of the fuel canopy also.
the applicant did bring sample boards if you're interested in looking at the materials and everything, so.
Can we see the sample boards? Do you have them?
Basically, these are some of the samples I had at the last meeting, but we attached a photo to them just to show you where they would sit.
Yeah, just bring them all.
Yeah, this is we call it ACM, it's an aluminum material, which will be used for the canopy columns and for the sign columns too. We use the same material as both the brick, which is the brick we use in our store, and the ACM. This is the same thing as called, it's an aluminum product. It is on the top of the gas canopy. The only, so it's aluminum. We add the corners back to it, and it's a nice product. It has a warranty to it. Holds its color for quite some time.
Have any samples of the brick or the umbrellas or anything like that?
Well, we brought, kind of hard to bring back, but we do have some specifications on the umbrella table. If you'd like to see that.
Well, we were
Do you
talking
guys-
about like different color for
Right.
the umbrellas. We talked about it not such a bright green.
Right, and I think, when I was here last year, you have your color palette, and I think the idea was to pick a darker green from that palette.
Right.
So-
So that's the intent.
That's the intent.
Okay. We really like the gas prices listed here. Can we do anything about that?
They might be, you know.
Substantial conformance with the,
This is we have a manufacturer. Actually, there's a picture of it in your booklet. So I just had the manufacturer give us some specifications. It's a very sturdy unit. And it needs a table and aluminum, so it's not like lawn furniture.
Right.
And a baked on paint color of it. Choose. And I believe, let me see where it might be in the booklet. Number tab 7.
Doesn't say color, but it does. I didn't bring my book. Paint silver ice.
Really?
See, dished aluminum.
Yeah.
I
I
prefer
remember
blue
seeing
with
those
green.
last year.
I wonder why they're not dark like the rest of them. Actually, we were wondering, because we see that the paint on the tables is silver ice. Is there a reason why you don't use the darker color like you use throughout the whole, I mean, everything else on there is a darker.
Is this?
Or a bronze, or, is that even an option?
That's a great question. I believe that our color simply for the wear. You know, that's really my only educated guess.
Okay. Well, I mean, to me, it's just the umbrellas not being a bright green.
You know what, I'm going to share this around, this may be tough.
Do you have a picture?
We just built a store and we rebuilt, same situation, in Williamsport, Maryland, small town of Maryland. And we just took a picture.
Great.
This store opened last week. So this is a picture of the outdoor table. This is a much smaller store. So we only have a couple tables here.
It's not quite the fluorescent.
This is the actual color that we generally use. We're going to use your darker
Darker.
green color. But
Thank you.
that's a good picture of the material.
Oh, okay.
Those people are right on top of that, aren't they?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Or can I make a motion?
Okay, anybody have any more questions? Okay.
You make a motion to add the green.
Did you want a motion?
Yeah, okay. I make a motion to approve ZP 2014-1114 as described and amended by their cover letter dated December 16th, 2014, items 1 through 6, and this is packet page 9 of our agenda.
I have a motion
Is that
and a
it?
second.
Okay, I'll second it.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussions on the motion?
Does it have in there about the umbrellas being a darker green?
Can we amend
It
it?
does not.
Can we amend that?
We were going to
I
do
will
the
amend,
motion and
yeah.
put that in, but you beat us
Well,
to
okay,
it.
so, yeah. I made my motion to include that the color of the canopy must be chosen from the Haymarket standard color palette, the umbrellas.
And I need to get approval from the...
Second.
Second?
Yes.
Okay. So we got the motion with amendment.
Okay.
No more discussions on the motion? Everyone happy with the wording?
Mr. Chairman, I did have one comment. Marion, I'm trying to look through, and I understand the intent of the pylon sign on the corner to be backlit, but I don't know that it's specifically stated in the, I was trying to look on that sheet page just to make sure that it's implied, but it's not specifically shown there. I just want to make sure that it's understood that it's to be a backlit sign. I'm not suggesting that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying, making sure that that's shown there. All other signs would be indirectly lit, but the only sign would be, backlit would be the canopy and the sign on the corner. Okay.
We need to amend that again.
Yeah, for instance, on the canopy, it does say backlit logo panel. So,
So we would need to amend that.
Again?
yeah, I'm sorry, a second friendly amendment would be, for the umbrella color as picked from the color palette, and that the, what are we calling it here,
It's not called the marquee sign, but
the gas price pole sign, the gas pole sign will be allowed to be backlit.
okay. I'm not going to make that yet.
Okay, that's my suggestion, that's all I have.
Let's make sure that that's going to be it, because we don't need to keep re-amending and re-amending and re-amending. Has anybody got anything else that they want to?
Everybody?
Okay, I'll make a second amendment to include that the gas price sign will be backlit.
Second.
Okay, so the previous motion and the seconded approver agree to go with the final amendment. So, are we good with that? No more details real quick. Okay, we'll put this up to vote then. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? We're good to go. There you go.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh,
Quickly,
Commissioner.
please.
Thank you for making that such a smooth process.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to dig that one out. Excuse me as I pause here.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a quick protocol, or I'm forgetting the term, point of order? Mr. Parnham sat down as you did the vote. I would assume, do you want to count him as absent for the vote or abstaining for the vote? As absent for the vote? Okay. Thank you.
Planning, here's ARB. Okay, I guess we can move on while I do the paperwork. I'll let town council update.
Okay. think you probably noticed in the packet that I'm bringing forward, or at least was explaining about how the town council met and sat down and worked with a professional consultant to help us reach a vision statement, mission statement, and some core values that we feel are important for the town, and a strategic plan. And amongst that, that came out of that was that we felt it useful and needed to have a code of ethics. I don't know if any of you had a chance to read them, the standards of conduct that we are asking each of the council members, the ARB members, and the PC members to sign. And we're requesting that, or advising, asking the BCA to take that into consideration too. So I just don't know if anyone has any questions over it. I've already signed it. It's just, we just feel that it was necessary to set a standard to go forward, to maintain a standard of conduct amongst everyone who represents the town.
I think it's a long time coming, and it should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah, and truly, we take an oath to take this seat. This is just something that gives you a better description of what you're going to accept. So I think it's a good step forward
Guidelines
and
and
giving an
parameters,
understanding
yeah.
to people who are taking this position.
So in the future, anyone who comes forward, Robert, I know you were new and we didn't have it all into place then, but so anyone who would come forward at that time, we would have them, sign this paperwork. So there's one here available for everybody tonight to sign.
Not this one, but
Well, we can take this one off the packet and sign it.
I actually strongly object to this document. This is incredibly poorly written and mixes policy and ethics. Number one, we've already sworn to uphold that. Number 6 is a policy issue. Policy and ethics should not be mixed in the same document. Number 10 is already guaranteed by our oath. Number 12 is a policy issue. Number 15 is a policy issue.
we
Number
back up the
16 is a
second
policy
round?
issue.
Whoa. Number 6.
Well, okay, and let me ask Pam a question. Is the town and all the committees and everybody going to sit down and discuss this in detail?
Yes,
Okay.
actually.
Do we want to do that then, or do we want to do it now?
You can hold off till then if you like. That's your option to do that. And obviously, we're not forcing anybody to sign this. We'd like to think that people would come forward, without a problem and sign it. But I can understand that if you have questions, absolutely. So in January, we're trying to have a date where the PC, the ARB, and the town council all come together to discuss this, to discuss the vision of the town, where we feel we're headed, to answer any questions and concerns about any of this, so that we can at least explain as to why that came up. Now, I will tell you that the facilitator that we had deals with many municipalities in Virginia. He has been involved in government, I don't even know exactly how many years. Do you know, David?
And I think he was the same guy that I took a class from for, so I'm very familiar with him. I can't remember his name offhand, but.
We can certainly address any issues that you have, but yes, we're hoping to have, we don't have a date set for all of us to sit together and so that
And
we
this is-
realize that we're really kind of all on the same sheet of music, that we all are looking for the better of the town, that we're here to represent the citizens of the town, not our own agendas, and how we can work and interact with the other councils, meaning the PC, the ARB, and the town council, and how they interact and work together. So this was just a step to, not to say anything about past councils or future councils, but to say that this is what we hope from, the time that we're here.
Well, that's kind of disparaging in its own right, because when a policy is passed, you have to look into the future. You have to consider what may happen in the future.
What I'm saying,
Because future councils and future boards and future members will be bound for this. If you don't take into account what may happen in the future, your scope is very, very limited.
The one thing that I have learned is that anybody can step onto the town council and change whatever they want by whatever amendment they choose to put forward. So I cannot tell future town council members how they are to behave, but I am saying that I'm going to abide by this, and you can choose or choose not to sign it, and that speaks volumes in itself. However,
Does it speak a volume in itself? Are you prejudging why I'm not signing this?
no, but you're prejudging why we wrote this,
No, I'm just saying this is a bad document
because you think it's a bad document. That would
because it mixes policy and ethics.
All right, so I don't want to debate it here. We can discuss it with you January at the meeting. You obviously have a different opinion about some of the things that we wrote. That doesn't make you right or us wrong, or us right and you wrong. I mean, it's something that can be open and discussed.
Can I ask a question?
Sure. I mean, this is discussion.
According to whom should you not mix policy and ethics?
When you're writing a policy, a procedure, okay, a little bit of background. Professionally, what I do, literally, read acts of Congress and turn them into software. I deal with the military, I interpret their codes of conduct, I deal with medical software. I know that you have to look into the future when you're writing applications and policies and procedures. You have to look at that. And you have to look at the long range. You don't want to mix policy and ethics if it's in, because then you're mixing your document styles. And what do? What happens if a document that you sign conflicts with the statutes of the state, the town code, et cetera? Then you get into a mess. Which document takes priority? You need to keep the purpose of your document very clean, very concise. Otherwise, you open the door to a great deal of confusion. So it's much better to, if you're going to create an ethics document, make it an ethics document. If you want to make a policy that we don't bother the town manager because he's too busy, that's a policy. That's not an ethical issue. That's a policy issue. Talking to the press, that's a policy issue, not an ethical issue. So if you want to institute policies of behavior, create policy documents. If you want to create an ethics document, create an ethics document. Don't mix the two. That leads to confusion, conflict, a number of issues that should be avoided. If you create your documents correctly up front, you have a much cleaner style, much easier to follow, much easier to look at. You don't create one document that does everything. It's bad form. You can, but it's bad form.
In your opinion.
In
Well,
my
I agree
opinion,
with
my
that.
practice.
Because that's what we did, that's what I sometimes did on my job, was you had ethics and then you had policies. Just separate the two.
Well, come forward, and if you can come forward in a positive manner and certainly show us where you think the two are mixed in January, that's fine. I'm just offering this up as something that we would like to go ahead and do.
Has the council voted on this? Have they adopted this? Yes.
I don't
So-
think it's a bad idea. Just separate ethics from policies. And like
I
Ralph is-
understand what you're saying. And it could be that the definition of policy in this might just be the wrong technical wording. I don't know exactly the policy. I don't necessarily see a policy in here.
I really don't like to interrupt your meeting, but I'm also a council member and I understand passing law. I think Pam did a great job. I think she's absolutely right. Appreciate your criticism. I think you need to bring that to our meeting, and we'll have that open discussion. But I will say, from my perspective, that the sum and substance of what's in this document, that we are hoping you will join us in signing and living by. Yes, you took an oath. We appreciate that. We all took an oath. But we were very careful in considering this. And if we have to tweak it, I think we'd be more than happy to tweak it, to organize it so everybody's happy. The sum and substance is what we as a council have decided to do so far. So that's my 2 cents, and I hope you will appreciate that.
I'm not arguing against it. I'm just saying, separate ethics from policies. That's all you need to do. I think it's I'm impressed with it. I like it. But you just need to separate the two.
So if you can come forward and,
I would make the suggestion, if you're willing to give Ben some comments on it, if you'd like to do that, and bring it to our work session. Perhaps we can talk about it at the work session, preparation for the next meeting.
and it's not intended to offend anybody. It is just another way of hopefully,
Well, and what's aside from, I think it's a poorly written document, based on my experience.
okay.
The other thing that there's a number of concerns that I have, but the big one here is the town council may impose sanctions on members whose conduct does not comply with the town's ethical standards, such as private or public reprimand, formal censure, loss of seniority, or budget restriction, where allowed by law, town council may remove members, yada. Does not have such authority over the BZA.
Correct.
A violation of this code of ethics and standards shall not be considered a basis. Okay, that's good. So, based on a violation, you're going to change your budget?
What?
I don't think that's what it says.
Budget restriction. You're going to change your budget based on moral conduct?
I guess I'm not quite understanding what you're saying by that.
Hopefully you would.
Town council may
You voted on
impose
this.
such action.
Hopefully you would understand it.
You know, Ralph,
I'm asking a point.
and I'm telling you that I'm not quite sure understanding what you're trying to get at.
I think the budget restriction, if I'm not, and again, I have not read this document, but I'm interpreting it as if somebody has
conduct.
a budget that they can go out and spend office supplies, and they're not holding up to the ethics, that they can say, hey, that budget, you don't have that power anymore.
You're talking about the conduct of how they behave with the budget.
I'm reading between the lines. I'm not saying,
Well, council members actually have, I think, like $100 of discretionary budget that they can do whatever they want to with, I think. But board members, we don't have that kind of budget.
So that portion would not apply to us then?
So
Budget restriction, it's undefined. That's the other thing I have with this is it's
Then,
undefined, it's open
I
to
guess then what I'm
interpretation.
asking from you is to go ahead and pick apart the document, exactly circle what your concerns are, even suggest rewrite, how you would rewrite it, and bring it forward, and we'll definitely look at it. You don't have to sign this tonight,
Oh, I don't intend to.
and that's fine, but it doesn't have to be a confrontation either. You can come forward, and you can tell us your concerns, and we definitely would look at it.
That's what I'm doing now.
It's the manner in which you're doing it. I have to tell you that I'm finding it offensive. It's in an argumentative
Condescending. It is
way. It's
condescending how you're
condescending, and there's no reason for it. If you're feeling threatened by this document, I'm sorry. Well, then come forward and tell us exactly how you feel it should be changed.
I have done that. You should separate
I
policy
would
and
love
procedure.
for you to write it down and bring it forward.
Is it scheduled?
No, it is not. We don't have a scheduled meeting yet.
I guess what I would recommend is that no one signs this document until
you're
all
not
the
comfortable
bo-
with it, yes.
Now listen, until all the boards have sat down, reviewed it, and discussed it, then everybody should sign it. You don't sign a document without really taking the time and looking into what it says, and
And that's absolutely.
so I would hold off on asking the boards to sign it until after we've had the joint meeting. That's when it's appropriate to ask for signatures, and I don't think anybody would have any problem at that time. And don't take it personal,
No,
Pam,
I'm not
because
taking,
it's not.
Sheila, I'm not taking anything personal from you. The way you have presented, I'm not at all taking any offense whatsoever.
And not that it's germane to the RV, but when you're saying that the BZA should consider it, is the BZA going to call a meeting to consider it? I mean, just from a logistical standpoint.
David?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, the BZA is an independent body, as you all know, and we're going to provide them with a copy of this. At least that's my understanding.
Well, the BZA, though, doesn't meet.
I understand
except
it.
under special circumstances.
But they can also gain copies of this, through staff and have an opportunity to review it and provide feedback. So I would think that could be one mechanism.
But that would be as individuals, not as the BZA.
I believe so, but we could call a meeting if need be to have
Well, that's
them,
what I'm wondering.
have the debate or discussion relative to that. That could be done, absolutely.
And I'm not even sure that that needs to be, because anybody new coming forward would not be discussing it in a big group. Anyone new coming to any one of these boards would be signing it individually anyways.
correct.
So, I mean, as long as we provide them the information, then it's their choice to take that on or not individually.
But again, in my opinion, I think it would be very helpful if you have some constructive comments that you could provide in writing. That would be even more helpful, because then there's really no room for misunderstanding. If you put it down on paper, we'll take a look at it, and then we'll have our discussion as a council on the 29th.
That's the regular working session.
Yeah,
Yes.
at the work session. And I'm not sure when the date is in January, but we are looking to certainly do that and have a sit-down with both you guys, the PC, and our council members and the town manager.
So if you'd like to provide that before the work session, or even come to the work session and provide it there?
I think it would really make a lot of sense to get that stuff in advance. Any comments you may have,
And then discuss it in January with
Right.
everybody.
right.
Have you asked other jurisdictions if they have a document or documents similar to this?
That's,
Yes.
that's where that came from.
That's where it came
Yeah,
from.
But you've gotten multiples.
Yeah, when we do peer review, I like the way you think, because I'm all over Brian about doing peer reviews and benchmarking. It's very important to do that. Why reinvent the wheel when you have some really good stuff out there already? You can always tweak it, just like this. And this may not be perfect, but it can be tweaked. But again, I'll say from my perspective, and I've been in management for over 40 years, and I know exactly what you're talking about. It may not be perfect, but it's a document that can be developed as we go along as well. So let's get it started. In my view, this is a reaffirmation to the town, not just ourselves. It also speaks to the town and others outside the town who we want to have a working relationship with, that we're going to conduct ourselves accordingly. That's all it is. It's not to be a cudgel against anybody. And if I saw somebody using it as a cudgel, I would speak out against that. I wouldn't want to see that happen. It's to help us work with ourselves and work with others.
I mean, is there a consequence to signing it or not signing it? Is with the other town, is it mandatory that they sign it when they join the council?
Well, relative to the council, it's our expectation that every council member is going to sign it. We've all agreed to that.
Is it mandatory? Is it
No.
voluntary?
No.
And if they don't,
I will
sign
tell
it,
you.
what's the consequence?
Okay,
Either-
that's a fair question. If you don't, I'm sorry to step on you there.
No, you're good.
Frankly, there is no requirement to sign this. We are asking that you sign it and asking you to help us reaffirm the oath, the conduct, and the behavior that we want people to see from the town of Haymarket. And that's all it is.
And my other question, the other town that has this, is it mandatory for them to sign it? Is it required for that town to sign it?
That I'm not
The reason
sure
I
on,
asked that
actually.
question is, okay, today, and again, I'm not saying this is a good or a bad document.
Right.
I have not read through it, don't have my glasses, to be honest with you, okay? But usually these types of things, they start out today as voluntary, and then the motion becomes that it's mandatory for new members. So I'm just wondering if that's the case with the other town council, because if it, that's just, usually the flow of things, I would think. So just wondering.
I guess we'll have to look into that, because I don't know that was even brought up when we were. Right. But the other,
There were some things that came out of the vision meetings, as you remember, that there's certain expectations. For example, the PC to be certified, for all members to be certified. I think there was going to be some
Yes.
Robert's rules training.
that would be the next thing in the packet
Mandatory.
that he's
for-
discussing now.
Yeah, that would be mandatory for the different PC and the ARB to have mandatory training. Yeah.
Well, the other thing, using the word mandatory, you're putting restrictions on people who want to run for town council. And I don't know that legally can be done, that you have to sign this document when if you're elected to the council. That I don't know that you can do that. So you don't want to use the word mandatory, because that's
I said we
telling,
were asking
Yeah.
new members.
well, even new members.
But
She didn't say
asking.
mandatory, she said asking,
Okay, but somebody.
not requiring.
Mandatory came up.
That's me.
You
Right.
need to stay away from that.
And that's my, okay.
And it should be, then it should be stated clearly that it's not mandatory.
We did not say it was mandatory anywhere in there. We said that we were asking.
Well, see, I'm just bringing it up because here it was brought up. Is it mandatory?
Well, nowhere in here does it say it's mandatory.
Well, I haven't had a chance to fully read it, Pam.
Okay.
I agree that I believe we need
Okay.
a document, whether this is the correct one or whether it is tweaked a lot more. I'm not saying no to the document, but I just think there are some things that need to be further considered and discussed. And that's why you don't want anybody to sign this until after you've had the work group.
This
And-
was a presentation, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I said they could sign tonight if they would like. I didn't make that mistake. I mean, I don't
But
know
I
if
think
that's a
it's,
mistake.
it's
but I was
going
saying
in the
that you
right
could.
direction. And Pam, I think you've done a good job in taking us there.
And the next thing is the vision statement we came up with, the mission statement, the core values. That does explain a little more in depth. So take the time to read that as well when we're going over the
Well,
other
I
items.
apologize that I didn't.
And that's okay. It was sent electronically, but not, it's only.
I couldn't even open mine electronically.
I was just going to say, sometimes it's only as good as the device you have.
But I think you're heading in the right direction.
May I-
And we do feel strongly about training for the ARB and the PC and the town council, because just even on how to run a meeting and, how to get agenda set and the things that you need to do.
I think it's a great idea.
I know that, for myself, there was none of that when I first started with the ARB years ago. So that's something that we want to
I
do.
mean, many years ago, when I was on the council, we went to the VML conferences and stuff, and that gave
That's
great
yes.
information. I mean, it was full of,
And we
you
have
know,
all,
good.
I think, attended at least one or portion of VML on the town council, correct?
Mr. Chairman, may I speak?
Sorry.
Sorry to interrupt you, but just as a point of clarification, we don't have a $100 stipend. I wanted to make sure you understood that.
I thought you guys did.
No, I haven't
Pam
seen it.
used it at one, or maybe it's the mayor that's got it.
The mayor has a discretionary fund, or they did. I don't
But-
know if it's still in the budget.
And discretionary fund for approval for spending for certain line items.
Just,
Yeah.
just for
Okay.
clarification.
Well,
Okay, at one time,
Years
I know
ago.
Pam did.
Years
Yeah, But
ago,
that may have
there
changed,
was.
yeah.
No, we,
And as I
I think
said,
that ship sailed a while ago.
well, as I said, as any town council changes over, they can choose to change and adopt and tweak. And
Absolutely.
so this is what we're offering up and hoping that it will continue into the future, but we cannot guarantee that it's going
Right.
to go beyond our own term. But you have to start somewhere, or nothing ever goes
and I
forward.
think this is a good place to begin, is now.
Is the strategic plan in there as well? I don't.
It is,
It
yes.
is, okay. That's really our roadmap going forward, too. You might want to take a look at that. We spent a lot of hours discussing it. We all came together with a lot of different ideas, and we distilled it down into that, which you have in front of you. So I would recommend you take a look at it, read it, and if you have any questions about that, that's fine. But that's really what we want to communicate to everybody in our community. That's our roadmap going forward. Thank you.
Thank you for assisting.
And thank you for your discussion. It's a very good discussion to have. That's what democracy is.
So, that being said, please bring forward any changes, and then we can discuss it. I do have another bit of information that Ralph and I both attended a meeting with the firm that's facilitating the sign ordinances. They're going forward, to look at the changes that might have, whether we need to make changes or not. And we did sit with the business owners and with the facilitators, and it was an open forum for the business owners to come forth and put forth their concerns. This is just a few of the ones that I took note of. They're asking for larger signs because they can't be seen, which I admit some of the lettering is very tiny. Backlit signs, which is, that's something that they may or may not come out that needs to be done. Talking about having some signage to actually mark the town itself was a big concern because they say they'll a lot of times have trouble telling people where Haymarket even is and the fact that they're further down the road. But we know that, and I did let them know that we're trying to work on that. They were talking about maybe even some kind of menu sign that shows the kinds of businesses that are further down. Their concern is that people turn in, they see McDonald's and they stop. And then they don't come further into the town because, and it's true, if you ever drive in and stop to look, once you hit McDonald's, there's that Food Lion parking lot. And there's all those businesses tucked back there, and there's nothing that tells you that Foster's is even there. It's a big brick building, but you're getting it from the side. And so they, especially in the dark, they think people just don't bother to come further down, and they want to find a way to kind of gap that. They're talking about wanting to have some of their menu signs. You know how when they come forward with the menu signs, all the type is the same, all the color is the same, which doesn't stand out, which I could see as well, that, if you want your sign to be green that says florist, and somebody else has a white sign that says whatever on the menu sign, then it sets yours apart and might be easier to recognize. But those were a lot of their concerns.
But nobody's ever come forward with that before.
That's why though, we're coming forward with the sign, trying to look at the sign ordinance to see if it needs to be changed.
Yeah, they actually they have two problems. So the guy that owns Piedmont Tire, he's in a different environment than the floor shop that's all the way on the back end, way off the street.
Really, you can't see her. Right.
Their general complaint was they're invisible from the street, and it's true. If you're driving by, you have no idea who's here.
Some of their issue goes back to the issue with the landlord,
Exactly.
the
Right,
owner.
and they know that.
Yeah.
And
So-
I think they realize
And he's
that.
trying to remedy that now, so.
Well, and one of the things we talked about, because they were also talking, like Pam said, they see, and particularly at night, they see Kmart or Walmart, and what's on the other side of Walmart's completely ignored. And particularly with the catering business, they were talking about, they want to create a destination. And actually, as I was driving through Fairfax, I saw some good examples of this, where it's almost impossible to identify very concretely all of the businesses that are back in there. And we're going to have the same problem if the property that's in front of us is going to create something. So create, like, when you talk about a mall, you talk about Fair Oaks Mall or Tyson's Mall or something like that. The mall itself is a destination, and that's easy to identify where it is, because particularly the caterer was talking about, I can't even tell people how to get here in front of my building because there's no sign. So if you created the Winterham Center, or if you created
Haymarket Town Center.
or whatever, yeah. And the fitness guys that were back in the industrial center, he said, even if you create Haymarket Industrial Center,
Which it does have, that is what we call it, so.
but it's not labeled, it's not identified.
Right.
So even if you have,
But part of that is the property owner has to come forward,
I was just
because
gonna
we're
say
not
that.
paying for the signs.
I get that, right.
So-
Some of the issue, I believe, and it's not 100% either way, is business owners have to accept responsibility for bringing business in as well as, it's not only because they can only have a certain type of sign, because you have hundreds of businesses in Leesburg that have little signs and they do just fine. So you have to weigh it all out. It's not all about having a huge.
No, right, and that's
Which is
true,
what I think this
but
whole,
at the
the
same
meeting with the
time,
businesses is all about, with the facilitator.
right,
trying
the town has to give them the tool.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't give them an effective tool, they can't get there. And that's the other thing they said is, they were all very clear, they cannot rely on pedestrian traffic.
Right.
So
Right.
there are a number of, from kind of my standpoint, the overall issue is what the businesses are communicating, right, wrong, or indifferent, What the businesses are communicating is they're essentially invisible from the street. And even if somebody's there on a cell phone, they can't tell them how to get there. So you're right. We, the town, can't say, oh, call this chunk of property this and call that chunk of, it's not in our domain. But we could give them the tool of saying, you get a marquee sign of some kind, one, per property, that you can identify, this is Winterham, this is the industrial park,
Now, should the
something like
landowner
that.
not choose to do that, I mean, that's out of our control, but.
Right. So, yeah, exactly. If the landlord doesn't pay for it,
But this is
But
the
we've given you
start.
the tool.
So they're doing the study to see maybe what changes we should make in the sign ordinance as far as the size, because our size can be restrictive, not taking into account the size of a building versus, it's all the same whether you're a, 500 square foot space or 1,000 square foot space. So they're looking into having, so that's just some changes that might be coming down the pike, which I think actually are probably positive signs. And one of the things I even brought up was the fact that, as the ARB, we do have the right to make exceptions to what we have in our guidelines. Like if somebody, like the owner of the Foster's, we call it the Foster's building, but the owner of that building, if they so chose, and we did it in conjunction with them, had some kind of painted mural on the side, like they do in Old Town Manassas.
They have come before us
They have.
before, right,
Indeed.
John?
Have something that says, Haymarket, and have it be old time. It's not in our guidelines to be able to do that, but that doesn't mean we can't make the exception for it. So those are
Or-
some things that we're talking about.
or since we're considering new ordinances, make that a possibility.
Right.
So, and it's going to, directly impact the ARB because, since the entire town is in the historic district, what do you do? Because the industrial park is different than the guys out here, than, everybody else. Everybody's a little bit unique. But again, and to me, that's what this is about, is you can't, like you say, you can't force the businesses to do effective advertising, but you can give them the tools to do effective advertising from the street. Because that was, and I've heard it for many, many years, is that you cannot identify a business from the street. Can't do it, particularly at 25.
Well,
Let's say there's no
that's-
traffic out there at 25 miles an hour, those signs are invisible.
And when you're trying to.
And
do
no one's
it-
going 25, so let's
Yeah.
just say it.
Those that are, they're going to get run over.
So that's some stuff, and they had just asked Ralph to come because he was part of the PC and the ARB and me, the town council and the ARB, thinking that way then we could, talk to you all and get feedback and,
That's
the
a
next
good
meeting,
idea.
we can put it out if anyone would be interested in coming too. But I'm not even sure when that is. I don't think they set another meeting when we left.
No, I don't know that they set another meeting. I think, I don't even know that they set a time when they're going to get the draft ordinances
I
to us.
don't either. So that's something we've got to, I'll check
Yeah.
with Marchant and Brian.
Yeah, but that's, I think is essentially the next step, is they're going to take all the stuff that they've done and then come back with draft ordinances. I think that's what's
Sounds
next.
great. Pam and Ralph, you two are the ones doing this. It's great. I'm really excited about that. You said that, you're mentioning that Leesburg, a lot of town, they have small signs and, that they do fine. I guess might be an issue of population. I don't know. Because I would like to know how they do that, because I do see a lot of our businesses failing because we don't even know they're here. I didn't even, I
Right.
work,
Well, I
this is my
think that-
town, and I don't even know these places are here. However, I also am reticent to use Fairfax as any type of model. Likewise, for example, Manassas, the strip of Manassas down the mall, you have all these series of little shopping malls. The Barnes and Noble is in one. I don't even know the name of it. And then you have the one next door to it that I don't know the name of. And someone says, hey, I'm in the blank and blank shopping center in Manassas. I'm like, are you by the Barnes and Noble? Are you by the, well, I
Right.
don't
What's
know.
the
I just
actual
don't know.
store?
All
Yeah.
these different little,
Yeah.
I'm not sure we're big enough to have a series of little sub-named alcoves. I would like to think we're not big enough to need that.
It's something they're looking at.
Yes, I am, because, I don't know, I don't think Leesburg is kind of cut up into little tiny,
No,
Well,
and
let's
neither
take
is the
Leesburg.
town of Manassas either.
Yeah, well, Manassas and
Old
Leesburg
Town.
are very different. And
Well,
Quantico,
Old Town Manassas is totally separate from,
from the rest of
yeah,
Manassas.
of course.
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm
if you think
speaking
about Leesburg, you have the
I don't know
road.
that they have that. You're down that main street.
Well, no, yeah, but you have the main street, you have the sidewalk, and you have the building. you in a car are,
Yeah.
you can
can't-
almost reach out and
can't
touch
touch
the
the
sign.
sign.
Behind those
But
buildings.
for
Right.
our businesses, that goes sideways. But so
Yeah, that's not
it's
the
just
case
something
here.
that's coming. We just wanted to make you aware that that's happening out there. That they're re-looking the sign ordinances and seeing what changes are going to come forward. And
I
they've
think
talked
that's-
with the businesses because, at least as the town council, we feel that the businesses are residents of the town, even though they're not living in the town. They are residents
Part
of
of
the
the town.
town.
I
If we don't
definitely
have
agree with
something
that.
to walk down to, so we need to support them and hopefully get them visibility and.
Just a quick question. What does Middleburg do with the side businesses? Do they? I've never really paid that much attention when I've driven through the town. I've
I
been
haven't
over
been
there.
down there in a while, but
Do
I
they
don't think they
work?
have.
Do
Do
they
they
have
have a
a
signage
person
either?
there?
That's too many.
It's
And I'll
really
tell you-
on the street.
And I'll tell you what, I don't much
Middleburg has some
go down the
signs.
side streets though.
I do, but do
Yeah.
they have
They've
any
had
marquee
some
at all?
nice
I don't remember any
signs on
marquee
the side
signs.
Yes,
streets
they
and that,
do.
but I'm trying to recall.
Because when
How
my
do
niece got
they
married, we went to a
mark those?
florist. She got her flowers from a florist that was off on a side street.
Well, is that on a street as opposed to, like here, it's a parking lot? Our florist is all the
And
way at
that's
the end of
part
the
of the
parking
problem.
lot.
It's
Essentially.
a little of both.
So that's
Little both.
But to bring it all back in and not belabor it too much, that's kind of what's coming down the pike. So hopefully we'll see what comes out of the sign ordinance and see what changes they have to make. And it will definitely affect some of our guidelines. And I think it actually opens it up more for us to be able to make better decisions instead of going, well, this is the guy. But although it's always been in our purview to make an exception to the rule. We just very seldom have done it in the past. So,
The slippery
so
slope.
right, and so this will actually allow businesses to be able to do more, so that we can and we can still say no, that's too big, that's too whatever, even though it's within your guideline. The ARB always has the right to say you need to pull that in another foot or whatever. But so.
As far as restaurants go, again, this is, you know how they have these signs on the highway, the interstate, before you turn off and they exit, and they have the different signs, I mean.
They have to pay for that, though.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is in any way possible, but is it possible to put something like that after they turn off the exit and they're in our
Well,
town?
and that's
So
what
that-
one of the
Yeah,
businesses was
wayfair
asking, if there could be
signs.
some kind of a menu
They
sign
bought
that
the
at least
wayfair
says
sign, yeah.
restaurants, florist, not by name, but by type.
Do you know that years ago, when the light poles first went up and we do those banners, like hang on, like for the different seasons, there are banners that you can get
Yes.
to put on those that say restaurant, or you can have them made
Dine and shop.
dine and shop, or even the restaurants can have their own banners made and put up there to know that they are in here. Do you see what I'm saying?
And we've kind
Yeah,
of discussed the thought of
I
having.
mean, the poles are there for, and
And they're double-sided poles, so they can hang on the other side, so.
I'm just saying. You know, I mean,
And that would be something
and I
that they
tried
would
to
pay for.
say that years ago, that like when Bloom went in and stuff, that we should have, shop here, dine here, whatever.
We can even have one that says, when we have the market here.
Right, farmer's market.
Farmer's
And,
market.
I mean, there are a million things
So-
you can do with those.
That being said, I
That's an option.
I now
That's
give you
what's-
back the
yeah.
floor.
That's what's
Sorry.
up next.
Okay. Any questions for Pam on anything? I have one question, or request at least. We discussed the meeting. I'm assuming that just to notify us formally, so we have an appropriate date in mind, that we
We've
get an
got it.
invite, if you guys send us an invite.
I need to talk to Brian. I might pop in tomorrow morning or if you've had a chance to talk to him, I don't know. I know he was thinking middle of January, after the holidays, after everyone's had a chance to come back in and settle down from all of that. So we definitely will get it sent out.
Okay, yeah,
with
that's
some
my only
time, so that
request.
you.
That way,
And I'm assuming it will be at night, because I can't imagine how anyone will make it if it's not. Everyone's got real jobs, so.
weekend, right?
So,
Suck your weekend away.
so, since everyone has an actual livelihood, and this does not pay enough to make that happen, so.
I can live on $50.
So, that being said, yes.
Okay. So I guess we'll move on then to Planning Commission update.
So, the whole thing with the signage, we just went over that. We did approve a recommendation and forward it to the council for the power lines, and essentially what we did was recommend the north side of 66, the opposite side of 66 underground, pretty much what it comes down to. The ultimate thing is State Corporation Commission.
Can I interject for just a quick minute? I don't know that you know this information yet, though. I know there was a meeting last night in the County Board
Yeah.
of Supervisors, and that they did approve the gifting of the property that runs.
Right, it's now conservation easeway, yeah.
Right, but I didn't know if everybody here was aware of that. So they have gifted it to the county.
Right, so the original thing that they did, which is next to the railroad tracks, they turned it into a conservation easement, which makes sense for them anyway, because, so the Somerset Crossing Homeowners Association, yeah, okay, they own that land.
Oh, on the other side of
On the other
Where
side
they
of
were
Carolina.
Yeah, right, so that
Power
belongs to the homeowners association. So what they did is turn it into a conservation easement, and then either gifted it or deeded it to the county. So that's one more barrier that Dominion would have to overcome if they wanted to run that line. Not that they couldn't, but it makes it that much more
So
difficult
that's
to do.
basically from the railroad tracks south then?
Goes
for-
well, because the whole idea is at some point that there will be a walking path from 15 all the way to 29, and that it will be connected all through there.
Like a trail.
There's partial trail there now for that. That was an intent long ago. And so that way it'd be easier to follow through with that and to leave the wetlands protected and hopefully open them up as an educational resource at some point. So, but that is one more barrier. I'm sorry, just because you were talking about the power lines,
Yeah.
that just brought it up, that was voted last night.
Yeah,
So they did accept that gift.
right.
So, and I'm sorry, so then the piece, you have.
So, yeah, I mean, but that's kind of outside of, it is outside of Haymarket, but, so that is one thing that's going on. And Dominion did come up with some more, personal opinion, very strange routes through Thunder Oaks and through Bull Run Mountain. And, yeah, the routes are now even more diverse. Yeah.
However, and
So-
even though that's outside of Haymarket, it does go through Haymarket properties, and it is definitely in our view shed, so.
So, but ultimately, we did forward to the town council, put it on the other side of 66, bury it. That was our recommendation.
And the town council will go forward to the SEC and we'll be doing, we'll be there at the public hearings and speaking on behalf of the town, so.
In Richmond, yeah.
Right. Well, and hopefully we're going to have a hearing here is what we're pushing for them to have the hearing here. So, one here and one there. So that people locally can come and voice their opinion as well. So that's what, right now.
And I think that's it, yeah.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Ralph for Planning Commission? Okay. So we'll move on. New business. I don't have any new business to present. I don't know if anybody wants to bring up anything that we don't have in our view at this time. Okay. So we'll move on to old business. Before I begin old business, this was something that was commented on last meeting, but nothing really evolved out of it, and that is participation on a signature to the proposal of the power lines going following the railroad tracks or going through Haymarket.
But no, say again?
That the ARB would participate with the
Oh.
Haymarket Council.
Well, I think at this point,
Is it
because
ODE?
I don't even know that we need to at this point, because I do believe that it was a very thorough report that the PC brought forward. So,
Okay, so nothing that would need our voice to show strong support.
I mean, how do, as two council members sitting there, do you feel the ARB needs to come forward with some kind of statement that we'll take with us as well? I mean, that's something I can bring up at the work session.
In my opinion, it wouldn't hurt.
Wouldn't hurt.
I mean, if you want to take a look at it, and as long as it doesn't conflict with what
I
the
don't think it's
PC
gonna
has done, if you want to make a statement, absolutely, make a statement as a ARB.
So before we do that, I've read it, I've edited it.
Yeah, I know.
Been
It's a
there.
big, long process. I know. You guys have worked hard on that.
Yeah, but, I mean, read what we're looking at, and I think if the ARB is going to make a statement, let's keep in mind that the ultimate consumer of that statement is the SCC. It's not the town, it's not the residents, it's the SCC, and it should be written with them as the reader, as the consumer of that statement. That's where it's going to have the real impact. Other than that, it's just so much verbiage.
Yeah.
And everyone who's a citizen of Haymarket can also send that, just the fact that you're a resident of Haymarket, you can directly email them anyways and let them know as well.
Right.
So the more emails that people from the town,
Show up in Richmond,
yep.
testify.
Yep.
That's, emails are one thing, but testifying is another.
Well, the emails have to be brought forward as if someone was there. So each one of them counts, though. So,
And I would, if I may, I would add one more thing. On January 6th, I think most of us have gotten this information. If you haven't, Delegate Marshall is holding his town hall meeting at QBE, and Supervisor Canlon will be there, Senator Black, I believe Colgan, Hugo, Lingenfelter, and perhaps Ramadan may be there as well. They've all been invited. I think the preponderance of the discussion will be on DVP and the Dominion Power Lines as they expand their routes. So your voice will be heard there as well. That might be something you might want to do and attend. So, and you have some time on this. It looks like they're pushing back their submission well into January, if not later.
Oh, the last email I got said not until March.
Yeah, that's right. It's March.
Yeah.
Right. That was the official email I think they sent out a couple days ago. But who knows? But thank you.
thank you. Do we want to go forward together as a group then? I mean, I guess I'm asking all of you. And that would involve,
See why not?
do you want one of us to draft something up? Do we want to?
Well, former Boy Scout.
I apologize. There was one other thing. We talk about the transmission lines. Let's not forget the double stack.
Well, see, that was, I was about to say that because that is in the town of Haymarket. It runs right through our main street. I don't know, that's a by right use. They can do that. That's going to happen.
It's gonna happen.
If Amazon goes in, that's going to happen irrespective, but we could certainly comment on it.
And in this, we do need to be careful not, I mean, it's not that we're anti-Amazon. We just want responsibility in how the power lines are put through. So, you know,
That's right, because, I mean, what we have coming through already is a pretty strong conglomeration of wires. Add on to it, and it's really going to stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
that is our main street.
Yes.
Can't stop talking tonight. Just one more thing I'd like to add. In our discussions working with the coalition and getting the deed of easement through the county, I've come to learn that Amazon is already there. At least that's the word we have, that they have offices there.
Oh, they're already there, yeah.
And they're staffed, and this is just, adjacent property for that data center.
Oh, yeah, I knew
At least
that.
that's,
I realized no one knew that.
well, some people didn't.
Yeah,
so.
no, I wasn't
So.
quite sure that they were actually there.
I was wondering why I
As
got
a
my
full force.
presents in less than 2 days.
No, because I ran into a man at one of the public hearings at Battlefield, and he works in some kind of security, and it so happened that he had already been in the building, and so that's how I knew it was there. I just assumed that was public knowledge, but.
I don't think it's been in print anywhere.
Right, and the county is being, both the county well, the county and Dominion are being very, very quiet about that. But if you look at all the county records, it's there.
It's right.
Oh, yeah.
But you would have to look at the records to know it.
They want to amp it up,
Yeah.
though. They want more.
So if we go forward with the statement, how do we want to proceed with that? Would be my question.
Yeah, well, that would definitely be the next question. Like I said, what we discussed last time was strictly, did we want to piggyback on just to show that there was another voice saying, did we want to just follow up with a here, we agree, or did we want to come up with our own statement?
Well, I think the PC was pretty thorough in the fact that it was going to affect the viewshed and the whole historic town overlay and.
The plus and minuses of it, I mean, in that sense,
I mean,
the
we
technical
can-
aspects of it were thoroughly covered.
So I don't know that we would need to go into in depth as much as just to make a proclamation as well that
Yeah.
since this is a historic town, we'd like to.
So just a
I'll give you
simple-
another opportunity to speak. I don't know, and I don't know, and I'm not asking what the town's going to do with the report, or whether they're going to, because there was a great deal of discussion about an executive summary on the report. But does the ARB want to wait until the town issues its final version of the report, or do we
Well, if
want
it's
to try and
final, wouldn't we want to
in
be part
conjunction
of
with
it?
that?
I'm going to take
I
a
want to make
stab
sure
at-
that they're not in conflict with each other.
Well, that's precisely my point.
Yeah.
Just a few moments ago, you don't want to be.
Right.
Have you all seen the report?
No.
No.
I know you can. Can I make a suggestion? Would it be possible for the PC to share that with the ARB and have them take a look at it? I think, I'm not sure if it's going to be at this work session or not, but I know we as a council would like to, discuss the report itself. I think it's an
Is it on
excellent.
the website?
No.
No, I don't think it's on the website. I mean, it's been going back and forth in email a lot. As a matter of fact, Josh had the final revision.
Last Monday.
I'm assuming that I have the final revision, but, yeah. And even if it's not final, I mean, it's close enough. There were minor grammatical
Would
changes
cover
and
the
stuff like that.
points. that-
You would certainly get 99.99% of the final. So I can mail that out. I should have the most recent one of those, or very, very close to it. So I can mail that out to the
Okay.
Yeah.
ARB.
And I'm assuming all we really want to do is put together a paragraph saying, we've read this report, we fully agree with it, these are the points that strictly we're focused on because of our position, and then a signature of all the ARB board members.
And then can we get that out to the residents so they know what's going on?
We can certainly have it
Yeah.
put on the website, for one thing.
I would wait until the council votes.
Right, that's what I
Right.
mean.
Yeah,
after
that's
all
what
that.
we're- right,
No,
yeah,
no,
that's
we
what
mean
we need.
after.
Once everything's finalized.
But then we
it
can
needs
certainly
to-
have it on the website
I
after.
mean, it will become a public document, so absolutely.
Because you've got a lot of residents that have no clue what's going on right now. They just know that this is happening, but
Right.
they don't know where to go to find the information that they need to answer their questions.
Perhaps you can talk to some of them and tell them about January 6th. Have them come to the meeting, because DVP has been invited to that as well. Now, whether they show up is, I'm not really sure what's going to happen there. They may still be busy doing their work and tweaking the routes.
Can we
but
send out notification to the homeowners associations in the town, and maybe they can send out emails?
Oh, that would be great.
I mean,
Any mass communication can't hurt.
yeah.
But certainly, I would pass the word around about the meeting on the 6th. They'll get a lot of good information. And of course, invite them to our council meetings. We'd love to have them.
I think most of the HOA presidents have been sending this information out, though, through the emails, have they not? I know Somerset for sure, even though I realize they're not residents of
I
the
have-
market, they certainly are our neighbors.
Green Hill has sent
And
things
Green
out as
Hill.
well.
Haymarket Station, where I live,
Have they been doing it?
I've been doing it, yeah.
So,
I think I actually got the last notice I have from the town website about the meeting at Pace,
Okay.
I think. So it's, I mean, it's
It's
out
really
there
the
in multiple
the
places.
individuals who don't, homes that don't have HOAs, I think that have.
Right.
So it's, I mean, I can, I mean,
Oh,
certainly
maybe
we
one
can
of the
post
thi-
that as an informational thing on the website.
Maybe we can put it in the mayor's message, too.
Did anybody engage Longstreet?
You know, years ago, and you just brought up something.
There used to be.
There used to be
A bulletin.
a newsletter.
Oh.
And I don't know that that's not a bad idea, that we don't try that again.
When you read this, you'll see that's one of our visions, is to,
Yeah.
And even an electronic version,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a paper.
I think we want to use a whole different set of ways of communicating. You know,
I
new,
get no emails from the town. The only emails I get is what Denise sends out about the ARB meetings. I get no other emails. I have to go on the
I wonder if we need to get
the
that.
website, and even then, it doesn't give you enough information as to what's going on. And I've heard a lot of town residents make the same comment. Well, we used to get emails.
okay.
It's like a hit and miss.
I think that's a great comment.
Under-
Communication is very important.
under the action agenda, we have place a mayor's message on the town's website and in the local newspaper on a quarterly basis. So it is something that we intend to have done.
Right.
And it might be that at this point, that our information needs to be updated for the emails as well. Because I got emails for a long time and then I didn't, and I am again. So it could be that there's been information lost in an update or something. So, I mean, definitely let Jen know
Yeah.
that you're not getting it.
And-
Well, I
and-
have.
and
Okay.
I know some people would prefer to opt out. I mean, I know we do have a Facebook account, we do have our own web page. I mean, we can start to put some type of automated process in which if they want to join to get emails, they can, and they can also opt out. I mean, we have all that stuff in place. It's just a matter of
It's
burdening
having
our
limited
administration
staff and
staff to
limited-
do
right,
it.
It's limited staff, and so it's a working process. We're getting there.
And we do have
Well, it was just
push
like-
to text, right? We do,
We do have a push to text.
right.
yes.
So
And it
That's
was
another
just
way.
like the newsletter years ago. It wasn't the staff that did that. It was volunteers who, no. Even
we're-
the mayor's column was written by some of us others. I mean, as long as we got the information, we could do it.
Right.
We actually put, the volunteers are the ones who did that newsletter. It wasn't staff. And I don't see why we can't do that again.
it's a great idea.
I
Wonderful idea.
missed that newsletter. I think it was, I mean, you know.
Are
there
you
was-
volunteering?
As long as I'm in town.
That's the girl whose house is for sale.
I know.
My house real quick, I'll reduce it. No, I mean, I agree.
We're also working on trying to get a volunteer base that we can utilize in this town.
Item
You know,
number?
As far as Boy Scouts, and I mean, for a lot of different things. So,
But even the residents used to volunteer.
well, and that's what I mean, though. Not, I'm not just talking, but we're talking
Right.
agencies as well as individuals. We feel that ownership of your town plays a big part in, you know, how you feel about your town and what you do and how, so we would like to get people active again. So we are,
Yep, we have the volunteer bank that we want to develop. Yep, absolutely.
so anybody you can send them forward, it would be great.
And come to our council meeting, too.
Huh?
Come to our council meeting, too.
I used
We'd love to have you there. Seriously, love to have you there and, you know, share your comments with everybody there.
You know why the residents don't want to come to the council meetings? Citizens' time is first on the list, needs to be last, because they don't feel like they have the opportunity until the following meeting to make comments on what's been discussed, and maybe the council takes a vote. What good does it do?
I think partly the citizens' time was first because some people didn't want to sit through some of the things they
And
didn't
then,
want.
well, if you
So, yeah, it's
remember,
a
we used to
balance.
have continuation meeting after continuation meeting.
Yes.
And that was totally ridiculous.
Okay, I'd like to
Okay.
try and get back on
Yes,
track here.
sorry.
We're an hour and 15 minutes into our meeting, so The only other thing we have is for old business is the task list. I meant-
Signs.
Yeah, the signs is about the only item. I'm going to put our participation in the power line discussions in the next month's minutes to try and start align something with that to
We'll try to
go
get
with
the
council.
PC statement out to everybody, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have that still in my email.
Yeah, so I'll put that in, but for the welcome signs, I meant to give you the business card.
Oh, yeah.
It's at my office, and
Okay.
I'm off for the
Email
rest
it
of
to
the
me.
year, so I'm going to have to get it to you at the next meeting.
That's fine. Everyone's going to hopefully have great holidays and, right, so, and we're going to start business new.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So-
pass that along, and, I mean, even the businesses, our town, you don't know when you've entered it. And in my philosophy, and it may not be all of your philosophy, but I know that, they're going to be redoing this intersection up here at some point, and they may have to move our sign, but let VDOT move our sign then, because if we keep waiting for the changes to stop, we'll never have a sign, because it is going to be continual for years to come now down here.
Yeah.
So I say we find something that we can all agree on that, within the budget, and move forward with it. So,
That's good.
so yeah, pass that on to me, and I'll see what I can do.
Okay. And that's all I have for old business. Does anybody want to make comments? Okay. Next item.
Motion to
Meeting
adjourn.
adjourned?
Second.
So I got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Okay. So at 8:18, we'll call this meeting adjourned.